What do you think people get wrong about motivation?
They believe it's a permanent solution. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that once I get it, I'm going to hold on to it. Nothing is permanent. And many times you have to learn to act without motivation. You have to learn to act without purpose. You have to learn to perform many different things. And that is what people think. They believe they need to have this motivation to exercise, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they simply don't do it. And that is where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind beyond motivation. If you have motivation, great, that's a bit of kindling for the fire. All you need is a spark and you can burn down a whole forest. But you have to learn to exist without motivation. You have to be your best version when you are least motivated. And that is the hard part of all this. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind about where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Now, motivation it's a bit of a weird word because it doesn't actually mean what we think it means. We think it means we are enthusiastic about doing something. We think it means we are eager and passionate to make something happen. And we think that somehow we should be able to ignite that eagerness and ignite that passion. But we can't. Because you simply cannot ignite passion. You cannot simply ignite the desire to execute a task. It simply doesn't work that way. And honestly, that isn't even what motivating means. Motivating doesn't mean screaming and cheering. No. Motivating actually means providing a motive, a reason why. So motivating someone is explaining to them why they are doing what they are doing, how it will help them, where it will take them, why they should keep working and fighting and striving. And when you need motivation yourself, don't look for someone to scream and cheer. Don't look for another person to motivate you. Look at yourself. Look at yourself and remind yourself why you are doing what you are doing. Remind yourself that this struggle, this temporary pain, this fight, this battle you are in, this is what will make you stronger, faster, and smarter, and better. And then, with that motivation, go forward. Into the fray, into the storm, into the heat of the battle where victory is forged. This is another thing regarding motivation and discipline. I really want to emphasize the difference between these two things. I was a 4-time world kickboxing champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time, I went because I am disciplined. You don't feel like going through this on a Wednesday morning when you wake up, but you have to do it because you are disciplined. You are disciplined or you aren't. I don't need to be motivated. I am a disciplined person. If I allocate X amount of time to work, I am going to do it. But that is the final answer. It's discipline. You will have to work hard when you don't feel like doing it. That is how it's going to have to be, or you are never going to do anything. And it is always about discipline. All the other people who are building multi-million-dollar careers and lives and businesses, they have all discovered one thing. They know how to get up and move when they don't feel like it. How do I stay motivated? Because no one stays motivated. Ask yourself the question. How do I develop the discipline to do the things I know I have to do when I don't feel like doing them? That is the question. Because it is very easy for anyone to come to work on the days they feel like it and do it well. But what about the days you don't feel like working? What about the days you don't feel like going to the gym? Because those are the days that are going to define where you end up in your life. Those days. Those days when I am tired or exhausted or just basically sick of the grind. What do I do those days? I go anyway. I do it. And even if I'm just going through the motions, I keep moving. I really don't want to exercise. I exercise. I really don't want to get up and get out of bed. I get up and get out of bed. Don't surrender to the immediate gratification whispering in your ear. Ignore it completely. Don't listen to that little voice. Instead, keep moving. Lift the weights, go for a run, work on the project, get out of bed. And simply by following the momentum, you overcame that path and stayed on the straight path, the disciplined path. You stayed on the war path, which is right where you know you belong. I have never met a person who hasn't been successful, who didn't have a huge amount of self-discipline in their life. Self-discipline and being able to work and being able to keep your life on time and being able to keep commitments and promises and meet deadlines is essential for success. If you study the people who are at the pinnacle of anything, you recognize that to get there, motivation was maybe 1% of the formula. Maybe winners don't need motivation. Winners need discipline. Discipline is about doing it because it has to be done, not because I feel like it, not because I'm motivated for it. Well, I think the only thing discipline definitely helps you with is that it helps you get things done. And when you get things done, when you actually do things, you are more successful. Sometimes a big part of success is simply not being lazy and simply doing it. Just understand that 90% of success is showing up, getting there and starting to work. You won't feel perfect every day. If I only exercised when I felt good, I'd be a fat piece of shit. Because there are many days I don't want to do it. I mean, it's pretty much the same with everyone who actually gets good at something. There have to be those days where you work no matter what. And they are probably going to be more numerous than the days you don't. So the benefit of discipline in my eyes has always been that through discipline, I manage to get things done. You can work on micro habits regarding your conscience. And I think the best micro habit is to set some objectives for yourself, goals that you actually value. Well, you're going to have to put a little effort into your life and you need to be motivated to do it. So, what are the possible sources of motivation? You could think of the big 5 sources, but then there are dimensions you must keep in mind when you plan your life. That's why we ask people about, well, you know, if you could have your life the way you wanted in 3 to 5 years, if you were taking care of yourself properly, you know, what would you want from your friendships, from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? What do you want for your career? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of work? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health? And maybe your drug and alcohol consumption too. And then you develop a vision of what you would like your life to be. And once the objective is established, you break the objective down into micro processes that you can implement. The micro processes become rewarding in relation to their causal association with the end, and that wakes up your incentive reward system. And the way it works is that it works best if it produces a positive emotion when you advance toward a valuable goal. Okay, and what is the implication of that? Better to have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive emotion while you work. And so the more valuable the goal is in principle, the more associated the microprocess is with that goal. You start to take on a positive charge. And so what this means is that you get up in the morning and you're excited about the day. You're ready to go. So what you do is specify your long-term ideal. You do it, in a sense, as a unique individual. You want to specify objectives that make you say, oh, if that happened as a consequence of my efforts, it would clearly be worth it. Because the question is always, why do something? Because doing nothing is easy. You sit there and you do nothing. That is very easy. The question is, why would you do something? And the answer to that has to be because you have determined by some means that it is worth it. And then the next question might be, well, where should you look for the things that are worth it? And one would be, well, you could consult your own temperament. And the other would be to observe that which people accumulate as valuable throughout life. So you do a structural analysis of the subcomponents of human existence. You need a family. You need friends. You won't need to have all these things, but it's better to have most of them. Family, friends, career, educational goals, plans for, time outside of work, attention to your mental and physical health, etc. That is what life is about. If you don't have any of these things, well, then all you have left is misery and suffering. So that is a bad deal for you. But once you configure that structure of objectives, let's say, and that is really in many ways what you should be doing in college, it is exactly what you should be doing. It is trying to figure out what person you want to be, right? And you aim at that. And then you use everything you learned as a means to build that person you want to be. And well, step number 1, specify your objectives. Because how are you going to achieve something if you don't know what it is? That is not going to happen. And often people don't specify their objectives either because they don't like to specify conditions for failure. So if you keep your goals vague and confused, which is very easy because it's just a matter of doing nothing, then you don't know when you fail. And people might say, well, I really don't want to know when I fail because that is painful. So I'll keep myself blind when I fail. That's fine. Except you will fail all the time then. You just won't know it until you have failed so miserably that you are finished. And that can easily happen when you are 40 years old. So I would recommend that you don't let that happen. So that is willful blindness, right? You could have known, but you chose not to. Once you have configured your structure of objectives, you think, well, if I could have this life, it might be worth living, despite the fact that it will provoke anxiety, it will be threatening, there will be some suffering and loss involved in all that. Obviously, the objective is to have a vision for your life such that, all things considered, that justifies your effort. So, what do? Well, you focus on the micro routine and say, well, this is what I'm aiming for. How is that instantiated on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis? And that is where something like a calendar can be incredibly useful. Google Calendar. So make a schedule and stick to it. Okay, so what is the rule with the schedule? It is not a prison. That is the first thing people get wrong. Meaning, I don't like to follow a calendar. Well, what kind of calendar are you setting up? Well, I have to do this, then I have to do this, and then I end up playing video games. Because who wants to do all these things I have to do? And there, you are wrong. Set the schedule so that you have the day you want. That is the trick. I mean, if I were to set up the next day to be the best possible day I can have, what would it look like? Well, then schedule that. And obviously there is a bit of responsibility that is going to go along with that, because if you have any sense, one of the things you are going to insist on is that at the end of the day, you are not in worse shape than you were at the beginning of it, right? Because that is a stupid day. If you have a bunch of those in a row, you simply dig. You dig yourself a hole and then you bury yourself in it. And I'm sorry, but that is not a good strategy. It is a bad strategy. So maybe 20% of your day has to be responsibility and obligation. Or maybe it is more than that, depending on how far behind you are. But even in that, you can ask yourself, well, I have these responsibilities, I have to schedule things. What is the correct ratio between responsibility and reward? And you can ask yourself that. Maybe you do an hour of responsibility and then you play a video game for 15 minutes. I don't know. whatever makes you feel motivated. But you have to negotiate with yourself and not tyrannize yourself. Like you were negotiating with someone you care about, who you would like to be productive and have a good life. And that is how the calendar is made. Well, and then you look at the day and think, well, if I had that day, it would be good. Excellent. You know, if most of you are useless, so you will probably only follow about 70% of your calendar, but that beats zero by a lot, right? And if you hit it even with 50% accuracy, another rule can be to aim for 51% next week and 50.5%. For the love of God, because you are going to get to that position where things start to loop back positively and spiral you upwards. And so that is a way in which you can work on your conscience and plan a life you would like to have. My point is that you have to understand that you are not your own servant, so to speak. You are someone with whom you have to negotiate, and you are someone you want to present the opportunity to have a good life. And that is difficult for people because they don't love themselves very much. So they are always hitting themselves with the whip and then procrastinating, and back to the whip and then procrastinating, and, well, God, it is so boring. And it is such a pathetic way to spend your time. And you know what that is like because you probably waste like 6 hours a day. It is painful to understand when what you are doing is not productive. I'll give you an example. I have done this a couple of times with classrooms full of students. Usually when I give a lecture on professional development, I say, okay, how much time do you waste? And I have the class vote. How many of you waste 10 hours a day? It's like 10% of the kids raise their hand. And it is interesting because I don't define what constitutes waste. I just ask the question. So they are diagnosing themselves, right? I'm not saying you are wasting 10 hours a day. I'm just asking. And, well, given your own attitude, how much time are you wasting? 10 hours a day, and 10% of the people raise their hand. Well, when you get to 6 hours a day, 80% of the people raise their hand. Well, 6 hours a day is 42 hours a week, so let's call that a work week. 40 hours a week, so that is a work week. Let's say, how much is your time worth? You are a college student. Well, it is certainly worth minimum wage, obviously, but it is worth much more than that. Because if you spend a productive hour when you are 20 years old, then you get the benefits of that hour for the rest of your life. So there is a compound effect of the time you spend when you are young. And I say, well, let's assume your time is worth $50 an hour. That is $2,000 a week that you are wasting. That's $100,000 a year. Well, how much better would your life be if you weren't wasting $100,000 a year? What is that over 40 years? That's $4 million. I mean, you are rich and you don't even know it. Stop wasting time according to your own definition. The agent shakes his head. Oh, I never thought of it that way. Well, yes, think of it that way. Don't waste your life. And then you think, well, why will people resist that message? Well, do you really want to wake up and realize that you are wasting half of your life? And you know, when people do that kind of wasting, they actually hate it. So it is painful. It is painful to acknowledge that. It is painful to think, my God, look how undisciplined I am. I don't know anything. I can't use a calendar. I can't keep a routine. I don't have any goal. I don't know anything about the world, right? And maybe there is a part of me that is bitter because I didn't achieve all my goals, and I would like to just say, to hell with that. That is the recognition of the shadows, and that is what makes you vicious and unreliable, all that. Nobody wants to look at that, and I'm not surprised. But, well, the alternative is worse.